Greetings, everyone, and welcome to your Astro-Weather Check for tomorrow morning's full moon in Virgo. And I have a lot to say about tomorrow's full moon, just more so related, not so much to the full moon energy, but to all of the kind of underlying energies that we have going into it. So we will get into that. I hit record. It's about 10:43 a.m. here on the East Coast in Atlantic City, New Jersey. So just timestamp and date reference. It is Friday, February 23rd. So the full moon is incoming very soon, within the next over a little over 12 hours. So yeah, I have a lot to say about the energy there. I actually have a couple cards that I pulled during Tuesday morning's live reading session that I want to share that were very much in alignment with the energy of the full moon, as well as some information that I just got yesterday. I kind of feel out the tagline that I'm going to give to every new moon and full moon. And the tagline for this full moon was percolating for a little while, and then the hammer hit the nail on the head yesterday with a share from our sea goddess Jess. So I'm actually going to talk a little bit about clairvoyance because the tagline for tomorrow morning's full moon is practical clairvoyance. And we'll get into that. And I want to talk about the third eye chakra and a little bit about why I've assigned that tagline to the full moon. So I want to get into all of that, and I'm really excited to share the chart and look at some, again, brand new energies that we're all experiencing that we haven't ever experienced, but also ones that we haven't for roughly 27 to 30 years. And that will be in relation to the planet Saturn, because Saturn's pretty heavily involved with this full moon. So before I get into the chart and the full moon and the astro weather check content, there are a couple things that I want to share. One is we have our winter snowscape retreat coming up in 1 week in Londonderry, Vermont. We have only a few tickets left. So I just want to share how to find that, how to explore it, where to see the agenda that we have planned, the house that we've rented. And if you are feeling called to join us, jump on it because we will be ending ticket sales next week, Wednesday at midnight. So let me just share that real quick so you all can see what we have and what we've planned. And actually, that's the chart. So I got to go to a different screen. So you go to our seagoddesshealingarts.com homepage, right on the retreats menu option here. There's also a link right on our homepage, which I'll show you as well. Right here at the very, very top. It's just right there underneath our beautiful ocean waves video banner that we have. So you just click here, retreat with us, or right here, retreats. And you will get to this page, which is a beautiful snowscape. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of falling snow while we're there. I'd be really excited about that. So you just scroll down, 7 days to the event. Woohoo! We're so excited. And then you just click more info, register, and that will bring you to our information page, our event page. And here, actually, you can see a picture of the main area of the house that we rented. This is awesome. We are just so excited for everything, the location, the people that are already coming to join us, to all be together in person, which doesn't happen very often. I think the last time all four of us were together was back in early December here in Southern New Jersey for a couple events that we did then. And which is the house is going to be incredible. And there's a brook in the back. So we'll be running water if you want to just go sit by the brook, have some peace and quiet while you're there. We'll be doing snow walks. So you just click about the event. And if you saw, I clicked, show more about the event. And then you just go down here and you can see everything that we have. The ticket includes lodging, meals, and all of these workshops that we're going to be doing individually, also as a team. So those are the workshops there. I'm going to be teaching a astrological aromatherapy and star bathing. Hopefully we have a clear night on Saturday night. I'm super excited for that because if you live in the Southern New Jersey area, on the island in particular, you know that we don't see very many stars here. So I just get so excited to be able to get out into crisp, clean, clear air and mountainscapes and just clear, no light pollution. So I'm just super excited about that. And if it's cloudy, I will figure out something else. We'll just do something else. You can still meditate with the stars, even if you can't see them. So we have that. And then you can click here. It says Winter Snowscape Retreat Accommodations, and you can actually go to the VRBO site and take a look at the pictures of the house. So you can click through here and just take a look at the incredible property and all of the rooms and the bathrooms. And there's a bonus room with a pool table, which I'm also really excited about because I love to play pool. And there's a huge deck and there's an outdoor hot tub, which we're also all very excited about. So you can check out the property there. And then the retreat is still, it's now at full price. So it's 555 plus tax and fees for the whole weekend. So that'll be Friday evening, all day Saturday, and Sunday morning. We check out at 11. And we also have day passes available. We've added that recently within the last month or so. So if you can't come for the whole day, and if you're in the local area and just want to make the trip for Saturday and join us, that is the longest day of the retreat anyway. It's jam-packed from, I think the day pass ticket is like 9 or 10 a.m. until 9 or 10 p.m. So you can join us just for Saturday if you want to. And that's only 222. So that is the gist of everything that we have planned. We are more than half full at this point. So if you want to join us, like I said, hop on it. Tickets will no longer be on sale after Wednesday night. So you just go here. There's also a membership offer. If you join our Soul Garden membership, you can get $111 off the ticket price. So that is where you go. That is everything that we have going on. And we are just super, super, super excited for that. And then the other thing that I wanted to share, and if you have any questions or anything, just reach out to us. We're going to be cooking everything ourselves so we can accommodate any dietary restrictions or types. I'm plant-based, so there's definitely going to be lots of plant-based goodies because I am the one on the team that has the weird diet, as I've shared on the podcast before. So yeah, we can accommodate you, no problem. We're all very familiar with all dietary restrictions, allergies, all kinds of things. So then the other thing I wanted to share is our February Soul broadcast. If you're not familiar with our Soul broadcasts, those are monthly blog posts that we put together. We just pick a topic and we all contribute something that we're feeling about the energy and the topic that we've selected. It's a collaboration between all four of us. And for February, we picked Loving Yourself Through a Dark Night of the Soul. And that very much relates to the Pluto shifts that we've had going for about a month now when Pluto dropped in for the second time in our lifetimes into Aquarius. Last year, we had a little bit of a preview from March to June. This time around, Pluto is staying in Aquarius for a much longer period of time until it'll shift permanently for the next 20 years in November of this year. So January 20th to early September is the next long haul that we have going. And then Pluto will shift and secure itself firmly in, I think it's mid-November this year, for the next 20 years in the sign of Aquarius. And the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was in the 1700s during all the revolutions. So Aquarius energy is the rebel and the revolutionary. So it's a very different energy. And Pluto is the planet that relates to our life, death, rebirth cycles and cycles of transformation in our lives. It can be even actual death sometimes, but lots of times and oftentimes it's an experience that's metaphorically that feels like a death. And that essentially is what a dark night of the soul is. It's an ego death, pieces of your ego death. So it's usually a very intense experience. I've gone through several in my lifetime and all of our team members have. So we shared so much about our personal experiences. Mandy actually shared her contribution was 5 ways to love yourself through dark nights of the soul. No one is coming to save you. And she talks all about how to, many different ways and tools to go through and to support yourself through the ego death and the feelings that come with it and the tower moments and how things just can fall apart. And I shared the first poem that I've written in a really long time called The Plutonic Process. And that image is from the movie What Dreams May Come, which is very much related to this energy. So, and I also shared some Pluto resources and it goes on. And Lexi and Jess each have a coupon offer in here for readings. So Lexi's is a deep freeze reading special. It's a tarot session with her in Soul Space for only $33. And Jess is offering Oracle energy reading savings, and she's still offering her custom personal orgone soul dragons, which are freaking awesome. I have two of them came out for me, which I'm not surprised. It's one though, unless something happens and you get she channels two for you. So those are all right there, and you can see pictures of them here. They're just freaking fantastic, beautiful, and so powerful. And those are only $65. So, and there's also a link to the retreat at the bottom of this soul broadcast as well. And you just get to that right on our homepage on the top menu, Soul Blog. And that'll bring you to February's, but also to the archive. We've been writing these, since November of 2021, I think. So you have the whole library of soul broadcasts right there. These are only available to Soul Garden members for the first 2 weeks of every month. And then we flip the switch and make it public after that. So Soul Garden members get exclusive access to everything, the content and the coupons for the first 2 weeks of every month. So with all that being said, thank you for listening to the sharing. I also just want to mention that like I said in previous episodes and previous standalone Astro-Weather checks, I think I'm going to keep this format moving forward. Everyone seems to like it. Everyone seems to kind of like the Astro-Weather check on its own. So I will continue season 3 of Becoming Chiron. The last episode will be a hybrid Astro-Weather check and the Chiron content in one episode. There's only one left, which I'm actually really super excited about because I have some new ideas brewing, and the last one will be the new moon in Pisces and Chiron in Pisces. As we've been doing since Libra season, we're now synced with the Chiron content and the zodiac season that we're in. So that's been really cool. That was a cool synchronicity that happened, and I really liked the way that it went, and it gave me an opportunity to sort of do something different with the format. So around the Pisces new moon, I will be back with the last full hybrid episode of the Becoming Chiron podcast. Like I said, Pisces new moon and Chiron and Pisces. And then I will shift moving forward. Standalone Astro-Weather checks, probably around the new and full moons. I like keeping that timing. I might pop in and do another update if I feel like there's something important to cover or talk about. So, yeah, I'm excited. I don't know when season 4 will start, but you'll still be getting Astro-Weather checks regardless. And that brings me to the last thing I want to mention. To support Becoming Chiron, easy, free ways, like on our YouTube, follow the show on our any podcast platform that you prefer. Spotify, you can follow it on there. You can subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts. On Apple Podcasts, you can actually leave stars and reviews. So that would really help me and get the podcast seen even more. If you feel called to do that, you just scroll down to the bottom of where you're on your phone, and you can leave stars and a review right there, right after you open the episode. So that would be helpful to me, but also likes and shares on any other platform that you listen. Like I said, Spotify, you can follow it on there, and you can actually engage with the polls and the Q&As that I put with each episode, but that's only on Spotify. And with Spotify, that's actually, besides our YouTube, the only other platform that does video podcasts. I wasn't able to upload the video for the last Astro-Weather check for the Leo full moon. I don't know what happened there, but hopefully this one goes and I can upload the video for today's episode. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts are the two primary platforms where there's the most opportunity for engagement and support. Also, on each episode description, there should be a link where you can subscribe. So if you are able to support me financially, I would greatly appreciate that. That would be really helpful for me. It's only $8.99 a month if you want to subscribe. So I highly recommend that as well if you're feeling called and able to support me financially. That would help me keep this going even longer, I think, and continue with the content. So YouTube, I'll see you guys, Healing Arts YouTube, Spotify, Apple, subscribe as a paid subscriber, $8.99 a month. And I don't think I had anything else to add to that. Yeah, so let's get into the full moon. And I will share the screen again and we'll take a look at the chart. So the full moon will be tomorrow morning. All right, Zoom. Thank you. Here we go. On the East Coast here, 7:31, 7:32 a.m. is when it'll reach peak fullness. And one thing about that timing, which is pretty cool, I don't know if that's going to happen here. It's a kind of rainy, stormy day here in Atlantic City, but you'll be able to see the full moon set at right before sunrise because the sun's been coming up at like, I don't know, six something now. Late, like, first light is six-ish. And then I think it's been around 7 a.m. is when the sun rises. So here on the East Coast, we won't see it full, I don't think, because it'll have already set. But if you want to see it almost full, we don't always get to see the moon when it's actually reaching peak fullness. So at sunrise, wherever you are, on the East Coast, it'll be a little different. But if you're at any point west, like, Mountain Time, Pacific Time, that should be pretty cool for you. So check that out if you can. If it's clear where you are and visible, just get outside and look at it and watch it. I always love being able to watch the moon when it's reaching peak fullness. It's just like a super cool experience, and it's only for a couple of minutes. So here on the East Coast, my little spiel about that. 7:31 a.m. and this is our chart. So as we cover every full moon, sun opposite moon, it's an opposition. That's what these red lines are here. It's always the case with a full moon. So sun in Pisces, moon in Virgo. They're opposite each other. That's why it's a Virgo full moon. And the sun shifted into Pisces on the 18th. It's usually around the 18th, 19th of February here. And um, there's a lot to say about this energy. So just to get into the opposition to start, with the Pisces Virgo axis, ultimately the energy is about assimilation. And on the Virgo side it's an earth sign. We have our physical earth experience. Pisces side is our ethereal experience, our connection to source, where we know and feel that there's something beyond this physical life and this experience here in Earth School. Pisces is surrender. Pisces is extremely sensitive emotionally, very compassionate, can tend toward having like a martyr type energy at times, can also tend toward escapism. So things like addiction get kind of associated with this space of the zodiac because we can have a nostalgia and like a longing and a grief to an extent because we're disconnected in a way from source and from our soul when we're here incarnated. So the numbing, like that Comfortably Numb song by Pink Floyd comes to mind. Substance abuse, or just addiction in any way, incessant scrolling, addiction to your phone, addiction to your TV, like anything that numbs or takes you out of the present moment. Pisces ultimately is about being present. And sometimes being present can be painful. And we can tend to, like I said, numb the experience when it's just too much and too overwhelming and we feel so much. Pisces feels so much. Like with a lot of Pisces energy, I can usually see in a person when I work with people that have a lot of Pisces energy, just this deep connection to the collective. And the collective grief and the collective consciousness. And when there's just this feeling of you can't even put your finger on why you're feeling a certain way, it's usually that connection to just everybody, all souls. So it can be extremely overwhelming. Um, the other thing with Pisces energy is it's very much related to our imagination, to our dreams, to our unconscious, to the collective unconscious. So lots of things in that realm, things that are unconscious within ourselves to an extent as well. It's the last sign of the zodiac. So all of the energy culminates in Pisces. It's the experience of transcendence and our transition out of the physical. On the other side, Virgo is assimilation, like I said, into the physical, breaking things down to their purest form. Virgo is usually very associated with purity and service. The maiden is the symbol. And it can tend to want to control because on the other side, it's chaos. And on the Virgo side, it's control. It's organization, it's analysis, putting pieces together, putting things in order in some way. In overdrive can tend to things like OCD. But this is our earthly experience. This is where we ground in why we came here. So this dynamic is a really important one. And I think it's one of the more paradoxical ones of the zodiac. I mean, we get a lot of paradox between the signs anyway, but between Pisces and Virgo, I feel like it's probably of the utmost paradoxical energy. I have a Virgo moon, so I can relate very much to this energy. And for me, I've shared this in other episodes, especially in the first season. I have a cluster in Virgo and nothing on the Pisces side. So for me, and the way that I interpret that in reading with people, if you have a stellium on one side, three or more planets in one sign, which we have going on with this full moon also, the lessons are on the other side. So throughout times of my life, I've always just had to have things planned, like to the most minute detail, and have things organized. And if something was out of place or like not straight, it would drive me nuts. And I've just kind of oh, learned to breathe, learned to be present. Presence has been a huge lesson for me in my life, but being in the present moment in particular, because that really is all that we have. So this dynamic comes up in overdrive with the Virgo full moon. So surrender is one thing I can say if the energy is feeling a little bit tense. Do something that makes you feel good. Don't get comfortably numb if you can. Feel it out. The only way to heal things and feel things is to feel them. So with full moons anyway, emotions rise to the surface, and there's a lot of underlying energy in this. And I'll get to that in a moment. So you can see here that we have a lot of things clustered on one side of the zodiac right now. And one other way to work with this energy with emotions running high during full moons anyway, because we have the full moon in an earth sign, is just to get grounded. Go outside if you can, walk on the earth, walk barefoot, feel things in your body. That's another thing with Virgo. And Virgo also relates very much to our health. Like I said, breaking things down to their purest form, our food, what we put in our bodies, how we take care of our bodies, how we maintain our bodies on a daily basis. So doing something that is healthier for you could be something that's coming up at this time as well. So that is essentially just the sun moon parts of the full moon. And so we can see here that we have a lot of planets in the sign of Pisces. I want to mention something important specific to this. It's with Saturn. So let's talk about Saturn next, because Saturn is heavily influencing this energy. We had Saturn shift into the sign of Pisces last year on March 7th. Just before that shift, we also had the Virgo full moon last year. So Pisces, the sun was already halfway through Pisces at that point. So this time around, this is the first time that Saturn and the sun are coming together in Pisces since Saturn shifted into Pisces. And when we have Saturn sun come together, it's very much related to our taking responsibility for our own consciousness and our own authenticity and our own individual path. And if anyone is listening and you've experienced your Saturn return already at age 27 and 30, you've already gotten a hefty dose of Saturnian energy. If you have Saturn in Pisces and you're going through your first Saturn return, I think you're probably getting a good picture and idea of what this energy is all about for you personally, but also collectively. Collectively, this is important because Saturn takes 27, 30 years to go all the way around the zodiac. So since Saturn shifted into Pisces, this is the first time we're experiencing, since like 30 years ago, Saturn and the sun coming together in Pisces. And that's also partly why the tagline is practical clairvoyance. Because, like I said, Pisces is that relationship to our dreamscape and our vision. Vision and dreams are really important themes that are coming up this week with the full moon energy building. And with practical, we're grounded on the other side. Virgo is a very practical sign. So organizing the chaos to an extent, but also staying connected to that psychic vision and that imagination and putting some kind of form to it. Saturn and Pisces has been very much about putting form to our vision, grounding our visions into reality, grounding our dreams into reality in a structured way. That's what Saturn's all about. I always say Saturnian energy is very much like getting called to the principal's office. If you ever got called to the principal's office, you know what I'm talking about. You have to take responsibility for what you did or whatever. It's taking responsibility for things and our identities and our consciousness when the Saturn and Sun come together. Saturn and Sun coming together collectively, but also natally, can also be uh, addressing things that come up around dad or the father. And on the other side, the moon is the mother. So Saturn Sun can be dad and Saturn Moon can be mom, usually. So if you're feeling any mother wound or father wound things coming up around this full moon, that's why. Because things rise to the surface under full moons, and especially when we have the vastness of the Pisces energy involved, it's a lot. Like think of the ocean. That's what Pisces relates to. It's everything beneath the surface that we can't see that we know is there, and it'll just rise. And it's rising for a number of other reasons as well, which we'll get to. So that was Saturn Sun. I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that. The visibility. Okay. So Mercury. We have Mercury and Saturn sharing soul space in the sky with the sun right now. The last Mercury cycle, all the planets have it's called a synodic cycle, so their relationship to the sun. During the Mercury retrogrades are when the Mercury cycles start, and then we have a midpoint, and we're in that midpoint time right now. So think back to the winter solstice. Think back to December 20th, 21st, depending on where you are on the planet listening. That's when the Mercury cycle started, back in Capricorn. So now we're at the midpoint of that. So working with Mercury cycles, it's a good time to think back to that time and just any shifts in perspective or new ideas that came into your awareness, new relationships with friends. We're at the midpoint of that. So that energy is we're halfway there till it culminates and starts over again during the next Mercury retrograde. So Mercury is invisible right now. Mercury is moving really fast. So any information that you're experiencing or reflecting back on how that whole thing has grown within you since December is kind of like fast insight to an extent. When Mercury is moving quickly in the sky, it relates to us as just things coming in fast. And that's where the dream part comes in. Pay attention to your dreams right now. What information is coming in? What is your subconscious trying to tell you? What are you processing? What are you working through? My dreams of the last week have been off the charts, vivid, and very, very, very specific. So definitely pay attention to that as well, especially as we're culminating with the full moon energy. The moon relates to our dreams as well. So, and Mercury, so we have the sun opposite the moon, we have Saturn opposite the moon at this time, and also Mercury at the time of the full moon. So Mercury is actually the ruler of this full moon. Mercury rules the sign of Virgo. So this is really important to the information and the perspective. And it's another opposition. So whenever we have an opposition, there's an opportunity for balance. So process the information, balance it out, see what's coming in, see what's coming through. And Mercury in Pisces, since it's opposite a sign that it rules, it's said to be in quote unquote detriment. I freaking hate that word. I wish we would find something else to say about this. I personally love the energy of Mercury in Pisces. I don't think it's detrimental at all, or whatever, however we're saying that word, it has a really negative connotation, but it's just playing by someone else's rules, essentially. When a planet's opposite the sign that it rules, it's kind of out of its comfort zone. It's like you're not staying at home, you're in a hotel. It's playing by Jupiter's rules and Neptune's rules rather than its own. So what I find when I work with people or see work of people with Mercury and Pisces, it's artistic. There's a otherworldly sense to it, feeling to it, vibe to it, imagination. Mercury in Pisces speaks the language of art and music and poetry and visual arts, and I think it's beautiful. I love it. And whenever I get to work with somebody that has Mercury in Pisces natally, they usually just have this beautiful voice. I just love listening to them. I could just sit there and not talk during the whole reading and just let them talk at me. I absolutely love it. So that's the energy that translates to us. So it is a very imaginative time. And I'll get to that when I do the card readings and from the book on clairvoyance. So, one thing I wanted to mention that is just another way of digesting the vibe or getting in more in tune, like in an artistic way with the energies that we're in, the movie The Shape of Water. If you've never seen that, watch it. I think it is one of the best artistic and visual representations of Pisces energy in general. And also with Saturn and Pisces now, just like putting the shape of water, like water takes on the shape of whatever it's contained by. It takes on the container, it's fluid, and there is no shape to water, really. And think of like Emoto's work and vibration and having a lower vibration energy being applied to the water and the form that that took on versus having a higher vibration energy being applied in the crystalline structures that formed. So these are all kind of different ways to get in tune with the energy. I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. I love that movie. I'm probably going to watch it at some point over this weekend just because I love steeping in that at least once a year. I always get some kind of new insight or perspective on the energy that I love to carry forward into my own personal experience, but also into my work. So we have Neptune hanging out at the end of Pisces. Neptune's been in Pisces since like 2012, so that's not really new energy for any of us. But the two other things, actually three things I wanted to touch on. Yesterday, we had our Venus and Mars conjunction. The last one was in 2022. They got close to each other in the summer. They didn't actually come exact, though. Yesterday was an exact conjunction. I tried to see it and it was cloudy. I actually woke my ass up at 4:30 in the morning and I looked outside and it was cloudy. So when we have two planets come together at the exact same degree and minute of the zodiac, visually they can look either really, really close, like they're one, or they can still have some separation. This time around, they're already separated at this point, but supposedly, I didn't get to see it myself, but they were really close to each other. I think one actually passed directly in front of the other or behind the other. So if you can get out pre-dawn, they're both visible in the morning sky right now. Check it out because they're probably still pretty close together. I'm hoping to try and see it tomorrow if it's clear, but I'm not sure if I will. But it's always cool to visually connect with that. So when Venus and Mars come together, they're the great lovers of the zodiac. So it's like always this dance that they do and this longing to get back together. So Venus is our connection to everything we love and value. It rules over the heart. Mars is our drive, our will. It rules over the solar plexus. So when these two come together, relationship things can come to the surface in a big way. That's usually the lesson if you have the conjunction natally. It's also very much about balancing out the divine masculine, Mars, and divine feminine, Venus energies. And the fact that they came together on 222 was really cool because that date, the number two highlights duality, light and dark, and high vibe, low vibe, the divine masculine, divine feminine, like all of the things that seem to be opposites, but like can't exist without each other. And that translates beautifully to the myth and the story of Venus and Mars anyway. So because it's happening or happened yesterday as the full moon energy is building and everything I've already said that could be bubbling to the surface around that, relationship things have probably come up also. So that's interesting with the timing, with the synchronicity of it being on 222. They're together in the sign of Aquarius. We also have an Aquarius stellium happening right now. Three or more planets in one sign. They've both met up with Pluto before they moved on to meet up with each other. So that brings in that dark night of the soul element to whatever's coming up, collectively, personally, whatever it is. So that's why I wanted to share the February Soul broadcast resource because I feel like that's an important piece of the puzzle. And this is the first time that all of the personal planets have met up with Pluto in Aquarius in any of our lifetimes. And I mentioned that on the last podcast episode or the last Astro-Weather Check when I did the Aquarius new moon. And I believe the one before that, I also covered it. So this is a brand new energy. And Aquarius is the brand new anyway. It's, like I said, the innovator, the rebel, the visionary to an extent, the humanitarian. And when I see Venus or Mars in Aquarius, it's always related to the unconventional. So anything coming up around unconventional relationships in particular is something to really pay attention to. Like we're breaking free from the Capricorn structures now. Pluto in Aquarius is a whole new energy. Like I said, last time it was in the sign, it was during revolutions. It was in the 1700s. So we're moving away from conform. So that is one aspect of the Venus-Mars conjunction from yesterday. Also important to note that they're both the rulers of where the nodes are currently. So we have the South Node in Libra, which is ruled by Venus, and we have the North Node on the other side in Aries, which is ruled by Mars. So those two coming together and everything that surrounds the energy of that conjunction anyway, but also the nodal experience that we're all having, whether you have your nodes in Aries or Libra, or Aries and Libra, whether they're flipped or not, whatever the case, that's probably you're feeling that a little bit more personally. I've actually read for a couple people in the last week that have nodes in Libra and Aries. So I know that this is surfacing in some way for people at this time related to the nodal story as well. So South Node, release point, also our comfort zone to an extent, North Node, growth point, soul's growth, out of our comfort zone, facing fears, but knowing that that's coming up to learn something in a big way to get great reward on the other side. So that is an important part of what's coming up this week also, not only because of the full moon energy, but also because Venus and Mars just came together. So with Libra, it's balance. So anything that's disturbing your peace could be coming up for release. We release under the energy of the full moon anyway, whether that's something that you do personally, whether that's a relationship with someone else, people in general. Release point, as I've said and shared many times, the best quote I've ever heard for the South Node is by Judith Hill, and she called it the great anus of the zodiac, and it's so true. So that can also be culminating and coming up for you even more so this week. And then on the other side is the growth point. Like I said, North Node, Aries, that's Libra's our relationships, partnerships, peace, balance. Aries is individual journey, individuation, personal experiences, not getting lost in relationship, being who you are, and in a brave way. Like I said, this is a new energy. And at the same time, you can see this fat red line here. Venus and Mars together are squaring Jupiter. So there's a pressure a little bit on just expanding our consciousness and taking action steps to ground things in a new way in our personal life experience. Taurus is our sensual life experience. So that square energy is also there. We talk about squares a lot on this podcast. I love talking about squares because it's one of the hardest energies, I think, to push through. But it's like the Esther get off the pot feeling, and getting on the other side, it's a threshold experience to an extent. It challenges us to take some form or action or do something where we're pushing ourselves in a way. We can fall back and not do it, and that's okay too. I've had those experiences as well, but when I push through a square, I always feel like I did something important to my own growth. So expansion of our consciousness and rebelling against the norm is also a big part of the energy as well. So like I said, there's many layers to this. And then the other thing that I want to touch on and kind of close out with is Chiron of the North Node. You will hear two different timings for this. This happens roughly every 12 years, Chiron and the North Node coming together. So this time around, they're coming together in Aries. Pardon me for 1 second. I need a sip of water. There are two different ways to calculate the nodes in the chart. As you can see on my screen, mine says mean node. That's the one that I work with. That's the one I was trained with. I just feel like it's easier. The other method of calculation is called true node, and that is the actual position of the nodes. You can't see the nodes in the sky, but they're calculated points. True is exact, mean is an average. And this conjunction, Chiron and the North Node in a Mars ruled sign in Aries, is you'll see, I think, true node calculations was this week or last week. Mean node calculation, which is what I use, is on March 5th. So that hasn't actually come together just yet. You can see The North Node's at 1759 and Chiron's at 1658. So this energy has been building anyway. I mean, if you're an astrologer watching this, whatever orbs you use, 5 degrees, 10 degrees, whatever, we've been feeling this for a while, but it will become exact on March 5th if you use mean node. So the kind of gap, the space between the two calculations is also kind of interesting. But anyway, regardless of which one you use, whichever one you've heard or pay attention to, whether it has happened for you yet or not, the energy's been building. So the journey here is pulling us forward, growing into ourselves as individuals and being more independent and less reliant on partner, people pleasing, stopping that. That's been coming up a lot for people lately that I've heard. And just putting yourself first. Not, and that's considered selfish. It's not selfish. The relationship that you have with yourself is the most important one. That was the big theme of the Venus retrograde in the summer of last year. The most important relationship I have is the one with myself, or the strongest relationship I have is the one with myself. Those are the two mantras I kind of put with that whole experience, coming from the heart, honoring your heart. What does your heart want? So the relationship stuff coming up can be some of the most challenging and difficult things because that's, as humans, our connection to others is important for our own survival to an extent. Aries energy is very much about survival, that primal energy, the energy we're shifting into spring here in the northern hemisphere. So think about as Aries season starts, and we've kind of had early a little bit with the plants, like the spring flowers and stuff, the daffodils and crocuses and stuff already kind of coming up to the surface. So it's that survival energy, like I said, it's that drive to live, the will to live, and putting yourself first. You are responsible for yourself and your life and your own survival. So to an extent, I'm generalizing there. I don't mean to say like if you need help, obviously you need help. But these two coming together, moving into this Aries space is a big healing journey because we've had Chiron sitting there for a while now. Chiron's been in Aries since 2018. Chiron will continue in Aries until, I'm not sure, I think 2025. Don't quote me on that. But this energy has been very much about healing our identity, who we are as our most individual selves. That's what Aquarius energy is also very much about. So not only do we have the rulers of the nodes came together yesterday, we also have Chiron and the North Node coming together in a Mars ruled sign with Mars and Aquarius. So that's interesting. How is that showing up for you? How is this whole thing that I've discussed practical clairvoyance? And let's get into that. So that is the energy of the full moon and all of the undercurrents. And there's probably more I can talk about, but those are the primary things I wanted to cover. So let's get into our cards and our reading, and then I will close out for today. So let's stop the share. So every Tuesday at 11:30 on our YouTube, Facebook, and now our Instagram, we do live reading sessions. They're complimentary. It's just a great way for us to get together and practice our crafts and try new things and new decks, and just a way for you to get to know us better and sample our services. And it's just a lot of fun. We've been doing it for a while. So I think it's almost been a year since we've been doing our lives. I think we started them in March of last year. They used to be on Thursday evenings, but we shifted to Tuesday mornings. So Tuesday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, you can join us for live reading sessions. We're pretty consistent with it. Sometimes something happens, one of us gets sick, or we just need a break, or we'll have our retreat. So I'm not sure if we'll be doing them after the retreat. We probably will, but we'll see. But next week, definitely. So Tuesday. And I usually pick my Oracle decks based on the energies. And the two decks that I picked for this week were my Peace Warrior deck by Colleen St. Michaels, a lovely local lady who created this deck, which I love, and Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light. So those are the two decks that I picked for this week, and the two cards that I did a collective reading at the end of Tuesday's episode, I wanted to pull into this Astro-Weather Check because I thought that the energies were so perfect and the cards were so perfect for what we're all experiencing. So the card that came up for Peace Warrior, and I also just want to mention, I love using this deck with Aries and Libra energy because that essentially is the warrior and the Peace Warrior. So the card that came up from the Peace Warrior deck, and I'll just read a little bit from the description, is the Dreams card. Card number 31, dream big, dream bold, just never stop dreaming. So there's that. And it's green, which relates to the heart. So like I said, coming from the heart, dropping into your heart space, what does your heart want? And a lot of Archangel Michael cards came up this week, especially on Tuesday. So one of the things, especially with Pisces energy, is energetic protection. Because like I said, there's just that natural connection to source and the collective. And it's very important to make sure that you're using your angels as help, or your guardian angel, or doing some kind of visualization practice just to protect your energy. It might be more important for you now to, like in that grounding practice, to also kind of clear your energy body a little bit and do some form of energetic protection. I love just picturing a bubble around myself, and Archangel Michael I call on a lot to help me with that. So this is what the card says for dreams. Invite Archangel Michael into the whimsical world of you to support you with courage and confidence. Always remember these are your dreams. Follow them with passion and conviction. We sometimes lose confidence in our dreams as others don't support us, and the harshness of reality dampens our spirits. We may postpone our dreams for our future to-do lists, but tomorrow is guaranteed to no one. We have to reach our dreams today. However, the angels encourage us to dissolve the illusion of adulthood and the feeling that responsibility takes precedence over our dreams. Instead, reclaim our childlike wonderment of what the future may hold, living in moderation and balance, knowing that our dreams may be fulfilled as a career or lived out through our hobbies. Listening to the guidance of your heart, the angels will give you stepping stones to make your dreams a reality and the confidence to take the first step. It is okay that the big picture of your future is fuzzy. It just means that each step you take will bring you closer to seeing it clearly. Angel actions. What is your heart speaking? Are you listening? What would your dreams look like if the words if only, but, and I can't were not in our ego mind to use? Perfect, perfect, perfect for the energy. And a lot of what that description touched on was the Pisces energy, very much so, because it is very much related to illusion to an extent, and things that we know are there that we can't see, but we can feel. And that childlike wonder is a big part of Neptunian energy, but also Pisces. It's like that Peter Pan, the Peter Pan feeling, like I learned it as the Poer Eternus, if you want to look that up and dive into that a little bit more deeply. But it is important to remember to have that and don't lose that wonder and excitement. And like with this turning energy being there also, like I said, it's like getting called to the principal's office and responsibility, but that can take hold too much sometimes. And the details and the organization thing that I touched on too with the Virgo energy on the other side. So just dive in. I think that card is so beautiful for this energy. And then from the Work Your Light deck, the card that I wanted to share that I pulled Tuesday, the Age of Light. You've been training for this for lifetimes. Mystics and sages throughout the ages have predicted this period in history, and you decided to incarnate in the middle of it. Remember, we chose to be here. This is no mistake that you are supposed to be here at this time of great change. If you ever feel unprepared or daunted by the path that is calling you, know this. You've been training for this for lifetimes. You're way more than the days that have breathed through you in this life. You're also all of the lifetimes that came before. All of these experiences have polished your soul into the most magnificent expression that is your authentic self. Your soul has many facets. Imagine a fingerprint. Your soul is a million times more intricate than that. If you put together all of the fingerprints of all of the people you have been, you would not even get close to fathoming how much of a unique masterpiece you are. You came in with a clear soul plan. You came in with wisdom beyond your years. This is the part of you that longs to be seen. This is the part of you that is ready to step forward, that is ready to emerge. This is not the lifetime to stay hidden, but to step forth, be seen, and rise. And this is I think one of the activation cards. Yep, one of the activation cards in this deck. They're divided into suits. So work your light activation. If you have the deck, you can actually do this. If not, you can use this. Hold the card to your heart and say, I call forth the soul gifts and soul training that I have received throughout all of my lifetimes. I am ready to embody them all now without hesitation and without fear. I have been training for this for lifetimes. So I thought that was a very powerful card, and it speaks to the age of light, which we'll close with the chakra. So this is an incredible book, Wheels of Life by Anadea Judith. It is like a chakra Bible, I think. I've kind of used it more as a reference material than actually reading the entire thing. But she is an incredible teacher on the chakras. And the chakra that relates to our clairvoyance and our third eye is our third eye. So I went into the book and just kind of peeked around to the sections that talk about clairvoyance. And I just wanted to share, since what our Seattle just shared yesterday was a upcoming class with John Holland and her teacher Pam, about clairvoyance and learning how to see the invisible. And that is essentially what clairvoyance is. It's seeing with our mind's eye, not necessarily our physical eyes. So hence the tagline for the full moon, Practical Clairvoyance. So there's a poem in here that I wanted to share. And the third eye, the clairvoyance seat, is known as the chakra of light. So that's also really important and relates to the card that I just read from. Beauty of 1,000 suns, beauty of a single moon, patterns of the life we're leading, all the truth we are perceiving. Gently now on wings of light, our petals flutter through the night, reaching out to worlds beyond, events forthcoming, days long gone. Holographic matrix net escapes the boundaries by time set. All the truth can be contained by patterns in the mind retained. Red and yellow, green and blue, interlace in varied hue. Shape and form, insight revealed, nothing can remain concealed. From inner vision reaching out, seeing truth, removing doubt. Inside we open, watch, and wait, while wisdom's visions spin our fate. Illumination shows the way. Our inner light turns night to day. And though the dark shall yet return, we fear it not, for we have learned the way the dark and light combine, letting patterns be defined. Dark to light and night to day, within our minds, we light the way. So I'm going to close with that I thought was incredibly beautiful and like a mic drop for the energy, essentially. And remember the shape of water if you want to kind of steep in a different way in the energy and escape to a beautiful movie, if it's a little overwhelming right now. And I will be back with you, like I said, around the Pisces new moon next month with the last full episode, hybrid episode of Becoming Chiron, Chiron and Pisces. And we will close out there for today. And remember to be a maverick. Bye.